Hello everybody, my name is Tommy the Keyblade Master, and before I begin this next review, I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. And since it's Christmas, I plan on doing a Christmas-themed game. Kind of, sort of. It is a game I got for Christmas over 20 years ago. It is kind of a cheaply made game. The game is Home Alone, and it's about as cheaply and quickly made, obviously, as the Photoshop job I did to bring you the picture of the cartridge here. Now, a lot of YouTube and internet critics really like to bash this game. Is it as bad as everyone says? Well, in my personal opinion, I would not say Home Alone is a great game. I would not say it's a good game. But at the same time, it's not a terrible game. It is a game that is a quick, cheap cash-in on a license that was going to go away soon. And as a quick, cheap cash-in, you could do worse. It's, like I said, not a great game. It's not a terrible game. It aims for mediocrity, and it achieves it quite spectacularly. If you don't know what the story of Home Alone is, it's basically the story of Kevin McAllister. His family leaves for Europe and leave him home alone by accident because they're dicks. And he also catches word that two nitwit robbers are going to try to steal everything in their house. Kevin sets up booby traps and stops the robbers because he just plain outwits them. So, this game kind of follows up as kind of a sequel, I guess. Harry and Marv are back to rob the whole house, and this time they bring along the whole gang. Kevin must outwit them again and save his family's valuables by stuffing them in the safe. And that's what you do. You have to find a certain amount of valuables, put them down a laundry chute, and then go into the basement and lock them in the safe to progress. You never really have a counter with Harry and Marv or any really storyline other than that. The only time you do see dialogue is between stages, where we see a freeze frame of Macaulay Culkin, the person who played Kevin, between stages telling us what our next goal is. So, overall, pretty simple story, nothing big, but it fits the time that the game was made in. Can I make a few quick nitpicks, though, with this? Instead of a final boss fight between Harry and Marv, you get to fight a ROUS in the basement as your final boss fight, and he's easy because you can be safe as long as you run in the corner like this. He'll never hurt you. Second nitpick I have with this game would be, what do you collect in your final stage? Well, animals. And what do you do with those animals? You stuff them down the laundry chute and then you stick them in the safe. Forget about the wet bandits. Kevin's real enemy is going to be PETA. For an 8-bit NES game, this game looks great. The characters are well-rounded, the animation is really good, the backgrounds are really great. Dang it! Yeah, for a 16-bit era video game that was released right in the middle of the Super Nintendo's lifespan, Home Alone does not look good. Look, he doesn't even have a reflection in the mirror. That's how cheap the game's graphics are. Now, I will give THQ credit for making Harry and Marv look like they're respected actors, but look at the way they're animated. No wonder why they're always falling into Kevin's traps. They're too busy just blindly staring into the fourth wall to watch where they're going. Yeah, the sound is as generic, unfortunately, as the graphics are. You get two types of music in this game. The first type is the generic original music. Then you also have the generic traditional public domain Christmas music, like the Ballad of the Sugar Plum Fairy. Now, there are a few other generic as heck original tracks and a few generic samples of public domain Christmas music in this game, but I don't have time to show them all. I will give this game credit to one thing: it does have some interesting audio samples, though, including Macaulay Culkin screaming in the famous aftershave scene. Yeah, don't ask me why they decided to put in the famous aftershave scream as the thing to reference when he died, they just did. I will give the game credit for one good thing, though. They did manage to have one funny sound effect when it comes to the sound of the bad guys dying. It doesn't matter which villain you conk out, whether it's Harry or Marv, they all make that bleh sound effect. It's almost like the developers were trying to think of the single word to describe their game. Bleh. Now let's get on to the gameplay. The gameplay in this game is not bad at all. But just like the graphics and sound, it too is also generic. Fits right in. Basically, and I have said this in the story, your job is to pick up all the valuables in your house and stuff them down a laundry chute. You'll find these by going into rooms, opening closet doors, or just by jumping up and hitting mirrors sometimes. You'll be surprised what goes flying out when you just jump on walls and through mirrors and stuff. And once you find enough items, a key will appear and you'll go down to the basement to lock the safe. As far as enemies go, your idea is to trap them into booby traps rather than kill them, because your default weapon, the water pistol, takes a lot of hits to just stun them. Can I also mention that you won't be running into Harry and Marv all that often? Instead, your basic default is this guy in the corner. And I also got a quick question. Didn't James Bond kill him in Fort Knox in the movie Goldfinger? Because that totally looks like Oddjob to me. Next to the booby traps that you can set off to kill enemies, you will also be picking up other useful weapons. These include the slingshot, baseball, and pellet guns, and by useful I mean just barely. You can kill enemies with them, but they take several shots for the pellet gun and the slingshot. The baseball can finish off most enemies in 1 or 2 hits, but you only get 1 baseball per baseball item you pick up, while the pellet gun and slingshot will give you 15. The pellet gun seems to be only useful against Marv and Harry, as pretty much every other enemy it just kind of bounces off, leaving them unfazed. I guess I should talk about the bosses next. Basically, on stages 2, 3, and 4, you will have to fight a boss in order to proceed. They're a giant cockroach, a ghost, and a rat. To beat these baddies, you just have to keep on dropping that gray block that appears in the middle of the screen on them until they give up the, well, ghost. The giant rat, which is the last boss of the game, is supposed to be the hardest, mainly because it can both move on the floor fast and jump at you at random. Unfortunately, you're just so safe on the corner of the screen that you're pretty much invincible. Wait until the rat turns around and then just run towards the brick to drop it on him. It's pretty simple. And there's, again, no encounter with the wet bandits. That's the biggest disappointment, is that you can't really fight Harry and Marv in a duel. Home Alone, the video game for the Super Nintendo, is just an odd game for me to describe. Again, it's not a terrible game. The controls work fine. There is some fun finding the items. There is some fun springing the traps. But it's just so generic in its presentation. The graphics aren't that great. The music isn't that great. And the weapons don't do anything, and the bosses are lame. So, like I said, it's not a really terrible game. It's not one of those, oh god, it's awful, but it's not great. I can only really recommend it to people who are looking to pad their Super Nintendo collections with a game that's not either terrible or really great. If you're new to collecting Super Nintendo games, pass this one up, because the Legend of Zeldas, the Marios, the Metroids, and even the Mega Man X's are way better than this. Anyways, I give this game an average rating at best. Anyways, it's kind of late when I'm uploading this, but I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas. If you like this review, feel free to thumbs up and click subscribe. This is Tommy the Keyblade Master, signing off.